slightly at Westdean Dam. This comes after the first rescue diver from the water policing unit went into the dam but came up short. The rain over the weekend has filled the dam, making operations slightly difficult for rescuers. Emergency crews have now brought in a small boat and will be searching along the bushy perimeter of the dam as the next rescue diver gears up to go underwater once more. Thando Hlengcobo, Eyewitness News.
Screen grabs of CCTV footage showing the vehicles used by those allegedly involved in the murder of Vereniging engineer Ahmed Swart have been presented as evidence at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Witness A, a member of Gauteng's organised crime unit, presented the evidence this morning while testifying partially in camera. Due to risks posed to his safety, Witness A is currently testifying from a safe house at an undisclosed location with his voice being broadcast but his face not being shown. He has described how a Hyundai i20 was used by the suspects to follow Swart to his offices in Vereniging on the morning of April 17 last year. Swart was shot 23 times in a case of mistaken identity.
Which inside had a bag that was loaded with 3 firearms, of which one was a rifle and 2 were pistol and a lot of ammunition.
He says the same I-20 was seen with a Mercedes-Benz scouting the same street about 4 hours before Swart was murdered.
2 vehicles were seen in the CCTV cameras, and then one of those vehicles was a Hyundai, the same Hyundai that now is being recovered. And then we were told that this vehicle was driving around the crime scene, making turns with the Mercedes-Benz that was later recovered.
The Johannesburg High Court has heard that the Magistrates Court, which denied alleged crime kingpin Vusimuzi Matlala bail, incorrectly interpreted the nature of the charges against him. Matlala has escalated his bid for bail to the High Court. He is facing attempted murder charges for allegedly calling a hit on his socialite girlfriend, Tebogo Tobejane. Last month, the Magistrates Court ruled that he has failed to prove that he's not a flight risk and that he will not interfere with witnesses. This morning, the High Court heard that prosecutors incorrectly categorized the charge as a Schedule 6 offence and not Schedule 5, which then raised the bar of proof when he was applying for bail.
Despite the concession that the state made that the learned magistrate misdirected her on the schedule, I did not make any concessions that the ultimate denial of bail was in fact wrong. The yardstick is still that this court can only interfere with the decision of the magistrate if this court is convinced that her decision was wrong.
To this now, the DA has proposed an economic empowerment bill that removes race as a determining factor, replacing it with a needs-based approach. The bill is the party's proposed policy to replace broad-based black economic empowerment. At a media briefing in Bruma today, the party says Triple BEE has only benefited a few politically connected individuals instead of the majority. Thabiso Koba reports.
The BEE Act was introduced in 2003 as a redress policy to deal with the racial economic inequalities caused by apartheid. Under apartheid, large parts of the economy remained in the hands of the white minority, while the black majority was excluded. The DA's federal chairperson, Ivan Meyer, says while this is true, affirmative action policies do not necessarily need to be race-based.
For example, if you apply the social grants, not on the basis of race, if you now go and look who are the main beneficiaries, it is black people. You don't need to target black people, you need to target the need.
The DA says it will be tabling the bill before Parliament soon. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
And 2 people have died after a cargo plane from Dubai skidded off the runway in Hong Kong on landing. It's understood the plane collided with their security patrol vehicle and pushed it into the sea. 2 airport security staff members aged 30 and 41 were confirmed dead on the scene. Authorities are now investigating the cause of the crash, with weather, runway conditions and aircraft and crew part of that investigation. Gold is trading at $4,252.84 an ounce. The rand is at 17.31 to the dollar, 23.25 to the pound, 20.18 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $61.05 a barrel.
Well, at this stage, if you're heading towards Midrand, that's leaving the Calvin Alex area. Slow-moving traffic due to roadworks N3 northbound between London Road and the Between Exchange. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in Rand Park Ridge at Bayers Nordia and the N1, as well as in Edenvale at Morafontein Road and the N3.
It's a cloudy afternoon in Gauteng with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 16 and 18 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, rescue divers are gearing up for the next round of search efforts at the Western Dam in Johannesburg.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja
Live, streaming countrywide
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
7 minutes after 1 o'clock. Welcome to 7:02 Afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja. Happy Monday, guys. It's been such a rainy time. I'm absolutely enjoying it, as I've said, but the weather must decide. Don't be gloomy. You must either be raining or be sunny. Not the in-between. I'm not down for that. Coming up in the show today, I want to find out from all of you around matric dances and if maybe schools should consider making them simple, where kids wear school uniforms, they have them at the school premises, but they have a nice a 3-course dinner as they would, to kind of equalize things. I want to hear from you on your thoughts in regards to that. So no outsiders, no dates, no fancy cars and the like. Movies and what to stream. Adelaide Moyeng will join us for that conversation. Get your recommendations through on things to watch. Can be old, can be new, and any genre as well. Our travel feature, we're talking visiting Vredefort Dome. We'll be joined by Igor Mutilska, that is the founder and editor of eagerjourneys.com. Then the second hour of the show, this is going to be quite a sensitive and a huge conversation as well. Parenting and Parents feature, we're talking about teaching children about consent. What a tricky one. But how does that conversation happen? And it applies to both boys and girls. Looking forward to all of you joining us. We'll be joined by Jogini Pakari, who is a qualified counseling psychologist and the head of the South African College of Applied Psychology, for that conversation as their spokesperson. Then we wrap up with the Naked Scientist, where Dr. Chris Smith comes through to get into all of your science-related questions. So get in touch with us. Give us a call, 011 883 0702, SMS us 31702, tweet at Relebogile M, at Radio 702, using the hashtag 702 Afternoons, and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Over the past few months, I have received so many DMs and messages requesting money for matric dancers. Some of it is the money that needs to go to the school. Some of it is, for helps, for contributions to outfits and all of those things. Over the years, I have supported through my foundation these different young people's matric dancers. But I saw somebody saying that there are schools out there where parents are not stressed because the students come in their full school uniform, that the students have this at their school premises so that there's no cost for venue hire, that they sit and have a nice, fancy sit-down dinner. There's no parading of vehicles. Things become equalized and fair. And it becomes a farewell where also plus ones are not accommodated. Now, I'm sure there is something to be said for some about the whole part of experience. I mean, I was out of school by the time our matric dance happened. Like, in inverted commas, I had dropped out by that point. But I still went to my matric dance. I had an opportunity to go and attend because it was something special. And I remember that my dress got made and I had a design in mind, and my mom took me to the resident family tailor who did everybody's things. one of the cast members from Fame the Musical did my makeup for me. My dad borrowed a friend from a car. A car from a friend. Guys, Monday is Monday. So my dad borrowed a car from a friend. And my date was one of the dancers. His name was Ashley from Fame the Musical. And that's how I went to my matric dance. But it was not something that totally broke the bank. Times have changed, of course. Women are wearing, or these ladies are wearing matric dances that are costing 20K plus, right? They're getting proper designer wear. It's starting to look like wedding receptions. Sign of the times, I guess. But I really want to know if there is room for a conversation of standardizing these. Or would we say, look, at least for public schools, standardize them, maybe at private schools where kids are not, and parents are not under as much pressure. But even so, some parents are breaking their backs just to get their child into a private school. And some kids are in private schools only on bursaries. So if we are to say that maybe schools could look at standardizing matric dances, and that there are schools already doing it as simply as that. School uniform, you go out, you go to school, there is a nice setting, the funds are used simply for that. I want to hear from you. And those of you that are suppliers to these matric dance parents, what are your thoughts? I'm seeing a message here from Mo on my TikTok live who says, I'm a photographer and we see it and we feel the pressure when we shoot these matric dances. They are looking like weddings and wedding receptions. The pressure is huge. The pressure is absolutely huge. But I want to hear from all of you that how important is the social aspect of it versus the part of it which is, let's be fair to other kids. Like, should parents be DMing public figures for money for matric dances? And of course, there is the option for you to not go. I don't know if it still happens like this. So parents of matriculants, please help me out here. But I think when it was our time, you had to sign a form to say you accept and then you pay a fee by a certain period of time. And then afterwards, it's time to, go through and do the thing. But my understanding is it's not compulsory. But the peer pressure, being a teenager, there are genuine considerations that we need to have there. So I want to hear from all of you, especially those of you who didn't go to your matric dance. Do you feel like you missed out? Do you feel like you lost something? Or those of you that did and had a horrible time or have a different view of all of these matric dances, I want to hear from you. I think the pressure is a lot. There was a young lady who had a designer flying her dress up. I don't know if it was from KZN. Long story short is that dress arrived when there were 10 minutes left of the dance. And this poor girl was absolutely distraught. Now, the conversation was predominantly around the designer being unprofessional and everybody saying, pay the money back. But I'm like, how did we get here? How did we get to a point where the keeping up with the Joneses is at this level? It's feeling like keeping up with the Gates and the Musks and the Mutsepes at this rate. Like, are there alternatives we could look at? Or should anybody maybe consider just scrapping the concept of a matric dance? I know there are also sip and sees where it's not just the pre-party. It's like also now family comes to see you dressed up. And you also might say, but Relebogile, it's kind of like what is it called when you, a gate, oh my gosh, my English today is not Englishing. What is it called? Rite of passage. Thank you. Oh my gosh, the brain is slowly coming back. Maybe it is also seen as a rite of passage or a nice way to party it up before you get into matric final. So I want to hear from all of you. There's the glorious queen on my TikTok says, my daughter's in grade 12. She's not going because I'm not working and I can't afford. So what if it were affordable? Hey, to the parents who can afford, are you saying, listen, we can afford, but scrap this thing out of fairness? And to the parents who like, we cannot afford, if they subsidized for you, would you still be pro doing it the way that it is done? Oh, another person promises it's not just the matric dance. The class party cakes are another pressure. Guys, as parents, you're going through a lot. I want to hear from all of you. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
Change is an unannounced visitor. It can derail you or delight you. It's pushy, inescapable, intriguing. Change is motivating. Change is action. Change has places for you to be. Change is opportunity. We always have our door open to it. For over 3 decades, we've been committed to seeking out the best investment opportunities for you, wherever they may be. 91. Investing for a world of change. 91 is an authorized FSP.
Sir, ma'am, may I take your order?
Yeah, let me get the New York cut, medium rare, truffle fries on the side, and the lady'll have the salmon. Grilled, not poached. 2 dirty martinis. Real dirty.
Leafy, what's with the voice?
Oh, I came over all Tony Soprano.
Get into character on a city break with Premier Hotels and Resorts. Stay Friday and Saturday and get Sunday night for free. Book now at premierhotels.co.za.
You can become a victim of a legal problem, wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
The Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra celebrates its 25th anniversary with its Spring Symphony season, opening with the annual joint performance by the Johannesburg and KZN Philharmonic Orchestras. The season runs from 30 October until 20 November, every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. at the Linda Auditorium. Tickets available on Quicket.
This week, 702 is in conversation with Gregory McLennan, the CEO of DigiCloud Africa, Google Cloud's first and leading value-added cloud distributor. They will touch on DigiCloud Africa's appointment as a Google SecOps distribution partner, as well as cybersecurity and how DigiCloud Africa and Google SecOps can help African businesses address any modern threats. Don't miss In Conversation with DigiCloud Africa on Thursday, the 23rd of October on 702 Drive with John Perlman on 702.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja.
19 minutes after 1 o'clock, matric dances, is there a different way to do it? Should they be scrapped? Or should they maybe be equalized where everybody comes through in full school uniform? It's held at the school's premises. They have a nice 3-course dinner, teachers and students and principals, and no dates, no fancy cars, no expensive dresses, no sip and C's. I want to hear from all of you. 011 883 0702 in the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. We've got some voice notes.
Hi, afternoon, Relebogile and team. In regards with matric, guys, hi, let's leave the children alone. Let them do what they do. Now I went to matric. It was a low budget. Didn't do anything fancy. It was nice. It was cheap, affordable, and it's a nice memory. Let's not say now we're gonna scrap it for the fact no, guys. Let's just enjoy, because we will end up not enjoying anything just because we're trying to accommodate everyone. This thing of trying to accommodate everyone will end up everyone not doing anything, because not everyone can be accommodated.
Good day, Relebogile. I see the card did not make your father to be done. On a lighter note, it's Monday, my sister, Matonza.
Good day, Auslebo Mpo here. Auslebo, I agree with you 100% on all the scenarios you've come up with. But I think as well, parents do not know how to say no anymore. They don't know how to tell their children that, my child, this is beyond my means, I cannot afford it. You are there on scholarship, your sole duty is education. You'll have all the other fun that you want to have later in life. Let's delay gratification on this one, my child. It's just one, there'll be many more to come in life. So yeah, man. Like my matric dance, I just went there, Limachita. We hired a quantum. We went in our Makam suits, and that was that. They were not even tailored, but we had a ball. We had a time of our life.
Thank you so much for that message. And the thing is, the reality is there's some people who can't even afford that Markham suit. You know what I mean? It might not be tailored, it might not be designer. But I hear you in terms of, you know, the previous person saying we can't be canceling things because not everybody can have them. So hence I didn't say cancel is the only option. I'm saying there's also the option where you simplify and equalize it. Let's go to Matebo in Centurion. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thanks. And you?
I'm doing well. You know, I'll tell you what. As long as this thing, matric dance, is to showcase how much money a family has, that is, they are willing to spend for their child, it's not going to get any better. Just like this thing, Yomkiti in Xhosa. Have you seen now how much it costs to have one?
Sure.
It goes into hundreds of thousands, if not even millions. Depends which family. So, besides, I mean, a child, matric dance, you are not sure if they are going to graduate. You are not sure if they are going to get married. So, which other platform are you having as parents to showcase that you have money? So, unfortunately, that is what we are dealing with now, holistically. It's not just one thing. It's a society. We want to show that we can spend, and it's going up and up. That's what is happening.
I hear you. Thank you so much, Matebo from Centurion, for that. Matric dances being platforms for parents to show off how much money they can spend. And I mean, it kind of reminds me of Hilton College's head busy complaining about the opulent parent behavior happening at some of their like sports days and things like that, saying it is getting out of hand. I'm trying to just quickly see here where, and this is part of the letter or what was written, when hospitality and generosity became self-serving displays of opulence and began to pull away from what we aspire to be as a community. For next year, can we ditch the opulence in favor of more wholesome hospitality devoid of showmanship and loud extravagance? When the extravagance stretches into overconsumption, the messaging we send to our children is awkwardly wrong. The community can do better, and I remember that. Steve from Centurion. Hi. Good, thanks, and you?
I don't know. I think I'll be rebuked to say this. Really, we black people, I don't understand them. You find that we are paying school fees. We paying them school fees because, remember, some of people go and make some arrangement for school fees because they cannot afford. Their kids will go to school using NEFSAs because they cannot afford to pay university. But come matric dance, they will go and hire this expensive car, go and take debt from the bank, loans, buy this attire. I don't understand really. I really don't understand. Because during the year we see them. During the year they cannot afford school fees. They go and make arrangements. And then the university doesn't have money. They cry that NESAS doesn't pay. But during matric dance, you will see how these people spend. Where is the logic on that really? I don't understand. Thanks, Relebogile.
Steve, is it not maybe that they are taking out loans and doing excessive things when it comes to matric dances?
They take loans to pay, to go and then hire a car, expensive car. And then you're coming from a place where, when you see these kids where they come from, you worry a lot as whether they even have something to eat, But they go and take a loan just to go and pay somebody who's already rich, that they can borrow their car. Just imagine, during the year, they come there at school, they cry and say, we cannot afford school fees. They make arrangements. Kids go to school, they only rely on NEFSAs. But they go to the bank and take money, go and hire those things. Where is the logic? I just want to understand, because I don't really understand. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me, really.
I hear you. Thank you so much, Steve in Centurion. Our relationship with money, nje, And I say our because I'm speaking collectively as a society, as a people. Keeping up with the Joneses is not a new concept. That's been around, I'm sure, for centuries. I'm sure there were kings back in the day who were like, oh, you got this for your army, I'm going to get this for my army. Oh, you got a younger wife, I'm going to get a younger wife. So I don't think that part is new. But the way you're putting it to say, why when it comes to school fees, there's stories, but matric dances, you can make a plan. Maybe it's the different kind of pressure you're getting from your child. And to the other person who said parents these days don't know how to say no. And if parents don't want to let their kids down. It's a tricky one. Hear more of your voice notes on 072 702 1702.
Hi, Lebo. I'm all for them equalizing this whole thing for fairness and stuff. But I feel like there's a lesson that the kids need to be taught by parents that life is not fair. And I guess it starts now. Life is not fair. You can't always have what the next person has. They're going to have to learn that because even in varsity, they're going to be coming across people and other kids from all walks of life and want to compare their lives to them. So they can equalize it, but then there's a lesson to be taught to the kids as well that you can't have what your friend or your counterpart has. And that's just life. It's not fair.
Thank you so much for that voice note. I think the question I would ask then is this. What is the purpose of a matric dance? If we're going to use that as a tool to teach kids that life is not fair, what is the purpose? Is it not for us as a group of matriculants to go and have a last hurrah? Isn't that the purpose? But if it is now only there for those that can afford, then that's the part that's confusing me. Tembilen Centurion, hi, go ahead.
Hi, Lebo, how are you?
Good.
Good, man. There was a previous caller who spoke about guys go and make loans. Look, I can't speak for a lot of people. My son went for a matric dance 2 years ago, and I asked him how much the suit's going to be, and I saved for it, and I gave it to him during the, and I phoned a mate of mine early in the year. I know he has a Ferrari. I said, can you hook me up? My son matric dance, and then pay nothing for that car. You know, and the matric dance was nice, very nice. He enjoyed it. Coming back to the one of Ugweluka Umgiti, I know it. The same year, I had Umgiti for my son. Because I'm in hospitality, you like to do things different, you know. You obviously you'll cater different and do things different. I agree that things have gone different from where they were 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But I think it depends. It's also us as parents who would like to do things. Because my son didn't say he wanted a Ferrari. You know, it's me. I phoned a friend of mine. I said, I'll hook you up. Sometimes as parents, we do these things for the kids. But I don't think it has to do with that all the time that parents are got to go and borrow money for school fees because we're all working hard. For an example, this year, I also helped 2 kids who were going for a matric dance, and they didn't pay nothing for cars. I said, I'll take it because someone helped me 2 years ago. I'm also doing the same thing, you know, and helping them.
I got you. And again, it also speaks to the circle of people you have in your life. How many people have friends with a Ferrari? Some people don't even have friends with a car. Let's start there. Likanolo in Soshanguve, go ahead.
Hi, ma'am. How are you?
Good. Go ahead, Likanolo.
I'm great. I'm interested in the previous caller who spoke about turning a blind eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking, what would a blind person say in relation to that particular figure of speech? Would they say, I'm turning a blind eye? Because in essence, they are blind. So wouldn't it be very discriminatory in essence?
So you're asking if the saying turn a blind eye is essentially offensive to people who are blind?
Yeah, because they can't use it in essence. Because
so let me put it out to the listeners. I know there's some listeners who listen to this show who are blind people. Let me ask. And let's hear what they have to say. Okay, Lekanolo in Soshanguve raising a point to say, the appropriateness of the phrase turn a blind eye. I see some more of your messages. We'll wrap them up as soon as we come back from the news. It's 1:30. Time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. A very good afternoon. We begin in Cape Town, where police have launched a manhunt for gunmen linked to a deadly shooting on the R300 highway. 3 men came under attack while driving along the route earlier today. A 32-year-old man was killed in that shooting, while 2 others were injured and rushed to hospital. Unconfirmed reports suggest that the victims are a taxi boss as well as his 2 bodyguards. With more rain expected to fall across Johannesburg today, emergency service teams are rushing against time, searching for a missing person at the West Dean Dam this afternoon. Rescuers are searching for a body after the man was seen entering the dam and never leaving. And the Johannesburg High Court has heard that the Magistrates Court, which denied alleged crime kingpin Vusimuzikat Matlala bail, incorrectly interpreted the nature of the charges against him. Matlala has escalated his bid for bail to the High Court. He is facing attempted murder charges for allegedly calling a hit on his socialite girlfriend, Tebogo Tobejane. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 2 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
In the Calvin Alex area, roadwork still causing some delays on the N3 in both directions between Marlborough Drive and the Patroons Change. Also leaving the Joburg CBD, traffic a bit sluggish on the M2 westbound between the Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road. Otherwise, the rest of 702 land looking pretty good. No serious accidents have been reported on our highways. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights in Linksfield at Linksfield Road in the N3, as well as in Edenville at Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeck. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9. Warning that we are now, as South Africa, facing a real risk of becoming a mafia state. What do you mean by that?
Business is one of the major lines of defense. We need a coalition of willing patriots to mobilize in support of the rule of law and in support of economic growth, to provide the jobs, to get people off the streets and get people away from criminal, illegal, untaxed activities.
Colin Coleman, the former Goldman Sachs Sub-Saharan Africa CEO.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
The Market Theatre invites you to 2 outstanding plays. Step into Afropocalypse, the Standard Bank Gold Ovation Award winner at the National Art Festival, where the whole family can visit a post-apocalyptic Africa and meet storytellers who share fables of greed, morality, religion, and unconditional love. Then enter Barbershop Chronicles, the international hit play that celebrates connection and brotherhood in 6 barbershops in Africa and London. Visit markettheatre.co.za to buy tickets.
To celebrate 25 years of helping you live the Premier life, FNB Premier is giving you a chance to win a 14-day European tour experience and other cool monthly prizes. Open any FNB Premier account from September to 31 December 2025. Switch your salary, swipe or tap a minimum of 2,000 Rand per month for 3 months straight. Spend and win with FNB Premier. FNB, help changes everything. TCs and competition rules apply. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
This week, 702 is in conversation with Auto & General, and we'll be talking about Auto & General's events liability insurance. It's the insurance for event organizers, protecting them if something goes wrong. Whether you're organizing a once-off celebration or a series of events, this is a conversation you don't want to miss. 702 in conversation with Auto and General this Wednesday on 702 Drive with John Perlman. Auto and General is a licensed non-life insurance FSP. T's and C's online.
702 Movies.
24 minutes to 2 o'clock. Movies and what to stream. We're chatting to Adelaide Moyeng, who is founder of Movies and Stuff. Find them on the socials. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 and 702. Adelaide, happy Monday. How are you doing?
Happy Monday. I'm all right, actually, but this weather is just such a bummer.
Ma'am, this is the perfect weather to stay indoors and watch movies. So let's get into it.
That is true, actually, but I feel like, it's a weird way to start the week. I don't know where spring went. It was supposed to be here, but it's fine. With this weather, I'm trying to make sure that I give you guys enough things to stream and watch. And we start the list off very strong with the announcement that Real Housewives, the Ultimate Girls Trip Season 2 is coming back in November, and it's got a couple of icons that I never thought we would ever see ever again. So Season 2 of the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip is going to have 8 ladies from all the different franchises of the Real Housewives, except it is all Africans from all the different franchises. We're talking Real Housewives of Durban, which will have Annie and Tembu, and Angel, Ngela, and also Jojo Robertson, and also some ladies that we, again, like I said, never thought that we would ever see again. The legendary Crystal K is coming, as well as Madame Evogia is coming back as well, a legend, OGs of the Real Housewives franchise from Johannesburg, as well as ladies from Nairobi and Real Housewives of Lagos as well. The show is set to begin on the 29th and the 28th of November, respectively, on Showmax and Mzansi Magic. And so far, so good. I mean, the first season was really good. It was actually the most watched Real Housewives series in 2024, the first season. So hopefully season 2 comes with the drama as well. The ladies are actually going to take a trip to Brazil. And so I hope, and I think, I just know with the ensemble that they've given us, it's going to be a really good season. Love the choices that they've given us.
Okay, so though for all of those fans, it'll be on Showmax. And then we have, is it Kato Lake?
Yes, yeah, it is Kato Lake. So Kato Lake is a new mysterious series that is coming out on the 23rd of October this week on Thursday on Showmax. It's directed by M. Night Shyamalan, who we all know loves very mysterious, paranormal, supernatural type films that he directs. We know he's done films like Trap, Unbreakable, Signs, The Sixth Sense. And so in this series, he is giving us a different take. So essentially, the story is about a family that's got a really broken past and history. They do stay near a lake, and a series of unfortunate events happen where an 8-year-old vanishes mysteriously. But in them trying to look for her, they discover that in this town, there's actually 2 different worlds that coexist at the same time, and where they're looking for her is not exactly where she may be, but they are in the right place. So it's it's an interesting take as well. And it's got Dylan O'Brien, who we know from Love and Monsters, The Maze Runner, Teen Wolf. He's done his best work there. So I really look forward to it. And I like his acting as well and how he really likes to branch out in different types of genres. Like I said, if you loved him on Love and Monsters, you might actually like him as well on this series. It is streaming this Thursday on Showmax.
Okay, and it sounds like quite a big cast there. Now we move on to The Perfect Neighbor on Netflix.
The Perfect Neighbor on Netflix is a documentary. It actually came out a couple of weeks ago, but I somehow missed it. I really love watching different documentaries as well. It's based on a true story, and when you watch the trailer, you're thinking, it's just, neighborly disputes. They're just showing us that these are normal things that happen, but it actually ends up being a crime. Essentially, they're taking you through the real life events of what happened, where a neighbor who essentially is fighting with the entire neighborhood for 2 years straight ends up being embroiled in a murder case. And so you have to watch the documentary to see how they tell us. What makes this very interesting from a documentary perspective is that we're being told the story through body cam footage of the police constantly going to settle the disputes that the neighbor has with the rest of the neighborhood. So you think to yourself, it's just, a normal neighbor who's just irritated by small things, but it ends up being a really, really heartbreaking but very interesting story as well. It's been number one for weeks on end as well. So I figured, this is something that I'm definitely going to watch and something that everybody else also needs to go look out for on Netflix.
Every time it says the perfect something, it's going to be horror genre. Somebody's going to die. Somebody's going to die. Every time I hear the perfect something in a film title or a book title, somebody's going to die. Okay, on Disney, we have Eeny Meeny.
Okay, yeah, we've got Eeny Meeny, which is also just such an interesting take on a film. So Eeny Meeny is actually like an action dark comedy, car action specifically. Essentially, it's about this lady whose name is Edie, and she has a horrible boyfriend by the name of John. What's new? But what makes this film different is that Edie is actually really good at driving, like ridiculously good. Her boyfriend, however, is always in trouble, and, she's been trying to break away from him, but, toxic relationships, these people always come back together somewhere, somehow. She goes back to see John, and they get basically kidnapped, and turns out those kidnappers are going to ask Edie to help them with a heist and a robbery. She's such a good getaway driver. But the sad part is that John owes those particular guys $3 million in cash. And so the only way that the debt can be settled is if she helps them with the robbery that they're about to pull off. So that's the interesting take, is that she now has to help her boyfriend with his debt by being a getaway driver for a bunch of robbers. And yeah, the cast is really nice as well. Edie is being played by Samara Weaving. Andy Garcia is in this movie, which I thought quite random because I haven't seen him.
We haven't seen him in a while.
I was like, what is this? But I was like, if there's anyone who you need to get to play that scary villain, that scary character, I think he does a good job. And he's also quite charming too. So
he must be, though, very in his Silver Fox era.
Yes, for sure.
I can imagine. I'm going to search him immediately.
Please, because the trailer is actually so cool, and he's one of those, he plays villains that are scary, but you kind of still like them and you understand that, it's just business, So it's definitely something that people need to look out for. Like I said, it is a comedy, but it's got dark comedy, and it's a car action, which I haven't seen in a while as well. I think the last action that had this type of theme was like Baby Driver years back. So I think this is something people should look out for. It's on Disney Plus. It's already there, ready to view.
The Woman in Cabin 10 on Netflix.
Right. The Woman in Cabin 10 is actually based off of a book from 2016 written by Ruth Wari. And the film itself is actually being led by Keira Knightley, who I also haven't seen in a very long time. I love that all of the actors that we grew up on are slowly but surely making their way back in small ways that we can appreciate. So this film is actually a mystery thriller drama. And so it follows Keira Knightley, who is playing a character called Laura Blacklock. And she's actually a journalist she's a travel journalist, and she's on this luxury cruise ship with the wealthiest people in the world. And while she's there, on one of the nights that she's there, she sees a lady that's being thrown overboard. Then the next day, when she tries to find out what happened to that lady, everybody's like, girl, we don't know who you're talking about. There was nobody here. Everybody that is here is accounted for. We don't know who you're talking about. And so she tries to find out who the lady is, tries to reveal the truth, but everybody else on board is like, it's just you, ma'am. We don't know what you're talking about.
And
so
I
think it's
saw,
Did you?
I mean, because it's now starting to be advertised on Netflix, I already marked it as something I want to watch. But I would be interested to see Keira Knightley in a role like this one.
Yes, yeah, I think that's why I also chose this. I think it's something different that she's doing. And also the cast is really stacked. It's got Guy Pearce on it. It's got Helen Waddingham, which we know from Ted Lasso as well. It's got Gugu Mthemba. So I think there's a bunch of people that add to the story overall. And yeah, it's a mystery drama. Imagine you know that you saw what you saw with your eyes. You're not drunk, you're not on anything, you know what you saw, but everybody else is acting like there is something wrong with you. Worst part, someone's life is in danger. So how do you try and help this person and nobody wants to help you? So I think it's a very interesting take. Should be something that people can definitely watch this week.
Okay, and what is this Puma versus Adidas business?
You know, it was a very funny take. I'm not making fun of the situation. I heard about the marathon, the Sanlam marathon that got cancelled yesterday. And I just thought to myself, all the people that went out and bought new sneakers for this run, they've been preparing for this and all for it to just be cancelled. And I thought, what's a documentary that I could maybe throw in for people to just watch?
Yes.
It's random.
To make
but
up
it's
for not
something-
running the marathon you've been preparing months for.
So I thought, actually, I put this on my watch list. It's a personal watch list. It's on my personal watch list. It's called Sneaker Wars, Adidas versus Puma. And I'm not sure if a lot of people know, but Adidas and Puma are actually relatives. It's the two brothers, which is Adi and Rudy Dassler, and those are basically the founders of Adidas and Puma. And so this documentary series, which is also on Disney Plus, takes you through how their feud began and how it's actually built the industry of, modern sportswear. And they have a lot of celebrity interviews as well in the documentary itself. There's David Beckham, there's Kanye West, there's Usain Bolt, and I think it's very interesting to get it from a take of what sportswear actually, means for a lot of athletes and how important it is. And also if brands are something that a lot of these athletes consider in what they're doing. So my heart goes out to the people that couldn't yesterday, but I hope this is something that you can watch maybe to just, get you back into the swing of things, and you'll get back next year. And, they cancelled it for real reasons, guys. How
Yo. Adelaide Moeng, thank you so much. Founder of Movies and Stuff SA. Find them on the socials.
Live extra with Checkers, SA's #1 in value supermarket. Save big on deals like Sunshine D 40% light or 60% original fat spread, 500 grams, any two for 79 Rand. Baby Soft 2-ply toilet rolls, 9 per pack, and Domestos Power Foam 450 mils, both for 99 Rand. And Nescafe Gold caffeinated instant coffee, 200 grams, any for 149.99. Valid until Sunday at Checkers, Checkers Hyper, or shop on 6060.
The Wits School of Governance develops leaders and innovators who reimagine governance, strengthen institutions, and drive inclusive growth across Africa. Your journey to impact starts there, from postgraduate diplomas to masters, PhD programs, and executive education tailored for today's wicked problems. They equip change makers in government, civil society, and the private sector with the tools to lead boldly and with purpose. Governance matters. Visit wsg.ac.za and apply today.
Year in, year out, we're fixing tires faster than a Formula One pit crew. My team is on top of things like tire whisperers. If an unforeseen accident were to happen in my workshop, at least I've got My Way business insurance to keep the wheels turning.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
In a world shaped by those who build, disrupt, and reimagine, there comes a gathering not just of minds, but of futures. The South African Future Trust Summit, in partnership with Standard Bank, is where top entrepreneurs, innovators, and change makers converge. It's where the future of enterprise is redefined. On 5 and 6 November, you could be there. Stand a chance to win tickets to the South African Future Trust Summit on 702. WhatsApp the keyword SAFT with your name and ID number, telling us how you would benefit from attending the summit to 072-702-1702. Then catch 702 Drive with John Perlman to find out if you're a winner. The South African Future Trust Summit, in partnership with Standard Bank. Your summit, your way, on 702. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com.
702.
Travel.
9 minutes to 2 o'clock in our travel feature for today. We're visiting Vredefort Dome with the founder and editor of eagerjourneys.com, Iga Mutilska. Iga, how's it?
Hi, good afternoon. So the last time when I was in studio, I told you that I was on my way to go visit Vredefort Dome.
Yes.
And obviously we're going to be chatting about that experience today.
Yes, let's jump straight into it.
So, I mean, it's really easy to visit Vredefort Dome, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, within a day trip or perhaps even a long weekend, as it's only 120 kilometers southwest of Johannesburg. And it's actually, despite the name Vredefort Dome, it's not actually a dome. So it's a central uplift of a massive ancient multi-ringed impact crater. And so the crater is about 300 kilometers in diameter. And so it's obviously to see it in its entirety during an overhead flight, or perhaps maybe from space if you have that opportunity. But the original crater has long since eroded away. And so what we see today is that deep granite rock from 25 kilometers from beneath the Earth's crust and surface that was forced up by that impact. And of course, it has UNESCO World Heritage Site status, which was granted back in 2005. And that's because it recognizes it as the world's, not only the world's oldest, but also the largest and also the most deeply eroded visible meteorite impact structure, which is also known as an astrobleem. And so, of course, when you visit the area, you get this complete geological profile of the astrobleem below the crater floor, and it really does offer quite a special window into this sort of cataclysmic event that shaped not just South Africa, but the planet in and of itself.
So, what is the impact of that event that took place 2 billion years ago?
Yeah, so try imagine this Relebogile. You've got this giant asteroid that's between 10 and 15 kilometers in diameter that's hurtling towards Earth at a velocity of 72,000 kilometers per hour. I mean, that's almost unimaginable to me. And of course, the energy that was released upon impact was thousands of times greater than all of the world's nuclear arsenal being detonated all at once. So it completely vaporized the rock. It created that massive crater. And then the subsequent shockwave permanently altered the rock structure in the area. It created this unique geological sort of fingerprint, if you want to call it that. And this includes so-called shatter cones. And these are conical fractures within the rock that point towards the actual impact point. And you've also got veins of fossilized friction melt rock, which were created by this immense shock. So even when you go visit today, you can actually, see it up close, or you can see it from further afield as well.
Okay, and I think that it is insane to think 2 billion, like it is such a difficult number to be able to quantify, to really understand how far back that was, but also the impact that we see today. So how has this affected the unique flora and fauna that we find in the dome today?
Yes, and I think it's absolutely true what you say. It's hard for us to quantify or to imagine the world, what it was like back then, 2 billion years ago, when you only had single-celled organisms on Earth. And obviously, naturally, so much has changed since then. But the impact created a very rugged landscape of hills and valleys. And that's something that I thought was really lovely. It really sort of adds so much color to the area, because as you're driving, wherever you're driving from, whether it's from Joburg or wherever else, you're constantly seeing these like undulating hills and valleys. And so that's really quite something. And then this greater region is known as the Dome Bergland. And so you've got upon the impact of the meteorite, you have a multitude of different microclimates that emerged. And of course, they had differing sort of climatic conditions, whether they were on the north-facing slopes or the southern-facing slopes. And so you've obviously also got a variety of different kinds of rock types, from granite to shale. So you've got this very unique biodiversity. You've got dense riverine bushveld, and then obviously that's along the Vaal River. You've got grassy plains, and many of these sort of biological, sort of biomes that you wouldn't find anywhere else. So there are over 100 plant species that are endemic to the area. And then, of course, the habitat supports, a prolific bird life, range of different wildlife as well. So you can go do a little bit of game spotting while you're in the area as well, from kudu to baboons. You might even spot a leopard as well, perhaps, within the hilly terrain.
So I did not know that the name Parys actually came from the name Paris.
Yes, and neither did I. So as you know, I've been studying. I've now qualified to become a national tour guide.
Congratulations! Yes,
Thank you.
Congratulations. You made it.
Thank you. Yeah, and so this was one of the questions, actually. And so often people say, oh, Paris. That klinkt soos Paris, and that's exactly it. So Paris was named Paris was named in 1876 by a German surveyor who was working in the area, and he had actually been involved in the siege of Paris during the Franco-Prussian War. During that time. And he said that the setting of the town of Paris along the Vaal River was so reminiscent of the Seine in France that he had to name it Paris. So that's really fascinating. Your interesting fact of the day.
I love it. So there is a connection. And then just in terms of, for anybody listening, planning a trip, what's the one thing that you say they must absolutely do, especially if they want to appreciate the scale of the dome?
Certainly. I would say try get to a high vantage point as much as you possibly can, whether it's, going on a guided geological tour with one of the tour guides, specifically someone who specializes in geology and geography. That would be fascinating. Many of the guest houses in and around the area have beautiful access to high points, overlooking the landscape, which is really great. If you're brave enough, I would suggest perhaps skydiving. It's really popular in the area because people want to see its vastness. But if you're not after that adrenaline rush, I really highly recommend a hot air balloon early in the morning, followed by a lovely gourmet breakfast afterwards. So, it's not so much just about getting up to view it from above and see all of these concentric circles, but it's even just walking along the area, doing a guided tour, seeing the so-called ripples of the impact as well. And of course, there's so much to do beyond just going and visiting Vredefort Dome. If you want to stay a little bit longer in Paris, there's certainly lots to do there too.
Iga Matilska will leave it there. Find out more of Iga's journeys on eagerjourneys.com.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
Participants of the Sanlam Cape Town Marathon say they had to lift each other's spirits after the event was cancelled. Race organizers called off the marathon yesterday morning after heavy winds caused havoc overnight, damaging infrastructure along the race route. Five-time Sanlam Cape Town Marathon runner Lauren Kensley says was a special experience to see hundreds of runners take to the streets despite being disappointed by the cancellation.
I must say that I was amazed by the thousands of club runners who made the best out of a bad situation.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
At the heart of global conversations shaping our future, Africa's voice is more important than ever. As proud lead sponsor of the B20, the Standard Bank Group is honored to showcase the continent's growth, partnerships, and potential on the world stage. Because driving Africa's growth isn't just our ambition, it's our purpose. Tune in every Monday from 3 p.m. for the Standard Bank B20 in brief for key insights and updates around the B20. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
With cybersecurity threats increasing year on year, it is becoming more and more critical for businesses to proactively address potential threats. As the newly appointed Google Security Operations Distributor for Africa, DigiCloud Africa is bringing Google-level security, regardless of the underlying platform, to businesses in Africa. Our specialist partners can help your security teams become more efficient and give you the peace of mind you deserve. Contact info@digicloud.africa to scale your security without limits.
Feel the rhythm of summer at the Old Mutual Music in the Gardens, featuring Mikasa and Jazeel Brothers, live on Saturday, 25 October at the Walter Sisulu Botanical Garden. Experience soulful sounds, sunshine, and good vibes in one of Joburg's most beautiful settings. Get your tickets now at webtickets.co.za. Proudly presented by Old Mutual, 702 and Breakout Events.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. We begin in Cape Town, where police have launched a manhunt for gunmen linked to a deadly shooting on the R300 highway. 3 men came under attack while driving along the route earlier today. A 32-year-old man was killed in the shooting, while 2 others were injured and rushed to hospital. Unconfirmed reports suggest that the victims are a taxi boss and his bodyguards. Police spokesperson Wesley Twig.
The victim was declared deceased on the scene by medical personnel. 2 adult males were transported to a medical facility for treatment. The circumstances surrounding the incident are under investigation, and the motive of the attack forms part of the police investigation. Delft detectives are investigating murder and attempted murder cases.
With more rain expected to fall across Johannesburg this afternoon, emergency service teams are rushing against time, searching for a missing person at the Westdean Dam this afternoon. Rescuers are searching for a body after the man was seen entering the dam and never leaving the premises. A search operation was initiated yesterday after a fisherman reported to authorities that he saw what he believes to have been a body floating in the water. During yesterday's operations, police found a bag which was later positively identified by the man's family to belong to him. Tandoluhle Ngcobo reports.
The second water rescue diver has concluded his search operation but has also resurfaced with no trace of the missing body. The water policing and K9 units were also searching along the perimeter of the dam. Local residents told EWN that they believe the missing man's body is still in the dam. They've also shared that on a previous occasion it took authorities a week to find the body of someone who had drowned in the dam. Tandoluhle Ngcobo, Eyewitness News.
The Johannesburg High Court has heard that the Magistrates Court, which denied alleged crime kingpin Vusimuziket Matlala bail, incorrectly interpreted the nature of the charges against him. Matlala has escalated his bid for bail to the High Court. He is facing attempted murder charges for allegedly calling a hit on his socialite girlfriend, Tebogo Tobejane. Last month, the Magistrates Court ruled that he has failed to prove that he is not a flight risk and that he will not interfere with witnesses. This morning, the High Court heard that prosecutors incorrectly categorized the charge as a Schedule 6 offence and not Schedule 5, which raised the bar of proof when he was applying for bail.
Despite the concession that the state made that the learned magistrate misdirected her on the schedule, I did not make any concessions that the ultimate denial of bail was in fact wrong. The yardstick is still that this court can only interfere with the decision of the magistrate if this court is convinced that her decision was wrong.
To this now, Basic Education Minister Sivuyo Gwagube says her department is ready for the 2025 final grade 12 exams. This year, more than 900,000 candidates will be sitting for the National Senior Certificate exams. Gwagube says for the first time since 1996, the department has recorded the highest registration rate for full-time candidates. The exams kick off tomorrow and will run until mid-November. Gwagube has been briefing the media in Mpumalanga today, outlining the country's readiness to deliver a secure exam season.
This year, we have 766,000 candidates who have registered as full-time candidates. This is the highest number since the public examinations have started in 1996. We've also have about 137,000 part-time candidates. This also represents a sustained downward trend.
And European countries have approved a plan by the European Commission to phase out both pipeline gas and liquefied natural gas imports from Russia. This move breaks a dependency the bloc has struggled to end despite Moscow's war on the Ukraine. Europe has been under pressure from the United States to speed up moves to sever its energy ties with Moscow and to buy more American liquefied natural gas. Hungary and Slovakia did not support the ban. Gold is trading at $4,252.84 an ounce. The rand is at 17.31 to the dollar, 23.25 to the pound, 20.18 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $61.05 a barrel.
Calvin Alex area roadworks still causing delays on the N3 in both directions between London Road and the Butlu interchange. And look out for those faulty traffic lights in Rand Park Ridge at Bears Nordia and the N1, as well as in Edenville at Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeek.
It's a cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 16 and 18 degrees. The top story in EWN, Cape Town police have launched a manhunt for gunmen linked to a deadly shooting on the R300 highway, which left one person dead.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja.
Live, streaming countrywide
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 2 o'clock, the second and final hour of 7:02 afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja. We're going to be jumping into a very sensitive and serious matter, and that is the conversation of consent when it comes to your children, teaching them about consent. That's what we'll be discussing in our Parenting and Parents feature. And then the Naked Scientist. You can already get your science-related questions in for Dr. Chris Smith. So get in touch with us, 011 883 0702, SMS 31702, tweet at Relebogile M at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 afternoons. And the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
Parenting and Parents
on 702.
Parenting and Parents time on 702 afternoons. And today we're talking about the sensitive subject of teaching children about consent. This is a conversation not just relevant for parents and caregivers, it's a relevant one for all of us, boys and girls, men and women included. And we're joined by Jogini Pakari, qualified counseling psychologist and the head of the South African College of Applied Psychology, the spokesperson for that. Jogini Pakari joining us. We take your calls and your WhatsApps with your questions. 011 883 0702. The WhatsApp line 072 702 and 702. Jogini, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon, Relebogile. Thank you for having us here.
Jogini, the thing that really made me want to have a conversation around teaching children around consent is that I stumbled upon an American mother who shared and demonstrated how she teaches her teenage son about consent. And the way she demonstrated it was she kept asking him, would you like tea? And he said, no thanks, Mom. And then she's like, but the kettle was already on. And I bought honey. Okay, can you just sip the tea? So she keeps going on and on until he gets super irritated, saying like, how many times I tell you I don't want tea, and she tries to manipulate him, all kinds of tactics to say, just have the tea. And all towards the end, she says, this was never about tea. And then he eventually clicks what she's referring to saying. So the next time you think of having to say the things that I said, then you know that consent is a factor and you're trying to sort of bypass it. I'm just curious, when we jump into this conversation, it becomes very difficult to teach children about consent if the adults themselves seem to not be in full agreement. And I'm not speaking about the law, but there will always be arguments as to what consent is and what it looks like. So can you maybe state for us before the conversation starts?
So I was quite excited when I was asked to speak into, it's a British comedian, Mel Moon. So what she basically does is documents her life, and she does it in comedy strips. And part of her life is being a mother to a teenage boy, Riley. And what excited me is because I follow them. I've been a follower of her channel for a while, and I often send that to my nieces and nephews as well, because consent isn't just about teenagers. It's not just teaching teenagers about respecting their bodies and the bodies of others when it comes to getting involved intimately or in terms of sexual intercourse. And consent isn't just about teenagers. It starts way early, but when we teach our little ones that their bodies belong to them, we're helping them build respect, empathy, and confidence. These are basic life skills. And this is what Mel Moon does so effortlessly in her skits with her son Riley. She just speaks about the everyday life skill conversations that many other parents find it difficult to approach. In that example, tea is quite a social symbol within the British context. So if you're having a friend over, you'll put on the kettle for a cup of tea and a chat. And it's socially accepted, it's actually socially expected, and it's appropriate. So she likens that to sexual intercourse. You might be in a situation where maybe you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend and everyone's doing it. Everyone who has partners are doing it. Why can't we do it? We're in a relationship. We've been in a relationship. So it's how she approaches this build up to, do you want a cup of tea? I put the kettle on. The kettle's been boiling. Yes, these things exist in everyday life, and then it leads up to a cup of tea. But being in a relationship, being with someone for a long time, none of that is consent. Consent is the actual act of saying, in this time and in this moment, do you feel comfortable to be a part of the situation with me? And if I don't feel comfortable and you don't feel comfortable, then we don't have mutual consent.
Can we get into the part where consent is not blatant, as in, or the lack thereof is not blatant, as in a person did not necessarily say no, but we know and understand what the cues are, where the body language tells you. And I know this becomes a very, very big conversation for many around the fact that a consent can also be withdrawn at any moment. So, can we bring in the aspect of the body language and how that also can be non-consent or consent has not been given? Silence doesn't necessarily mean also that consent has been given.
So when we're talking about body language, that can be subjective, and that's where confusion can come in, which is why it's always emphasized that if it is not an enthusiastic yes, an enthusiastic verbal yes, that yes, I'm here with you and I'm in this with you, you take it as a no. So if we go back to the tea method or the tea analogy that Mel Moon uses, if they say yes, great, make the cup of tea, enjoy the cup of tea, enjoy the chat. Remember the euphemism behind it. If they say no, don't push it. And if they're asleep or they cannot answer and you're not getting an enthusiastic yes, do not give them tea. So no.
Yes. And I think also, I think there's the gray area, which is around if you have to try and convince a person that they need to have the tea or should have the tea, or that if they don't drink the tea, you're going to make them feel some type of way. That also isn't really consent.
Yeah, that's actually manipulation.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. We're going to get into more of these details. We take a break. I want to hear from all of you parents. Some of you are still too afraid to even speak about sexual intimacy, let alone consent. What does that mean for our sons and our daughters where consent is concerned? Yes, we know usually perpetrators statistically are men, but that is not the case always. There are many a young boy who has found themselves in a situation where they did not want to participate. They did not want to drink the tea. So let's hear from all of you. 011 883 0702 in the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
Two civic organizations who are calling for a protest to the union buildings happening in Pretoria. Enough is enough and Stand Up SA.
Africa, we are right there in the middle and we are the ones who got all the permits for this march. It's a legal march. It's a non-partisan march.
Here's a voice note.
I don't understand people who says they fear Mbalula and Mashatile's presidency, talking about the evils of the ANC in terms of fraud and corruption, stealing from the public and buying Lamborghinis and Ferraris.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Imagine if you could save time like you save money. A second here, a minute there. Type a little faster, walk a little faster. Or you could stop scrolling on the internet. Just think of all the hours you'll save. Now what if you could take all that time and invest it? Watch it grow. Until eventually, one day, you'd have so much time that you wouldn't know what to do with it all. But unfortunately, time doesn't work like that. It can't be stored or banked. And unlike money, you can't make it back. That's why after 50 years of investing, we've learned that time is the greatest gift of all. And the good news is, if you invest early, time gives you money. And then money gives you more time to do whatever you want to do, even if it is scrolling on the internet. Ellen Gray, long-term investing. Ellen Gray is an authorized FSP.
Mom, Dad, you're not gonna believe this.
What's up, bud?
Luke's family has a kitchen.
Okay.
Like a real one, with knives and a sink for dishes. His mom was just standing there, making food with her hands. There was a fridge full of vegetables, even broccoli.
Not broccoli.
Oh, the horror. Who needs a kitchen? Simply spend 200 Rand or more and you could win Simply Asia for a year. T's and C's apply. Simply Asia, connecting the Thai way.
Tata Punch, take me there. To the ground clearance that lets you rise up to every adventure. Where your infotainment touchscreen connects to your next move. To the store lit by bold LED tail lamps. Whatever there is, wherever there is, let the all-new Tata Punch take you there. From only 244,900. T's and C's apply. Ta-ta-ta-ta.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
The amount of money directors are receiving starting to go up again, increasing by more than inflation. CEOs have seen their salaries go up by around 8%, but chief financial officers, well, theirs have gone up by around 19%.
Executive pay is linked to the functioning of our economy. You know, you can't divorce the two. So you don't want to focus on dragging it down too much, but also, of course, it must remain a pay-for-performance model.
Leila Ibrahimi is the reward partner at PwC.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA Corporate and Investment Banking, proud sponsor of the ABSA Africa Financial Markets Index 2025. The insights to guide you through Africa's financial landscapes are waiting for you. ABSA is an authorized FSP and a registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Parenting and parents
on 702.
19 minutes after 2 o'clock in our Parenting and Parents feature for today, we are chatting about teaching children about consent with Jigini Pakari, qualified counseling psychologist and the head of the South African College of Applied Psychology, also the spokesperson. Your calls with your questions on 011 8830702 and the WhatsApp line 07270211702. So, Jigini, if a parent is not even, they're listening and they're like, yo, Relebogile, you guys are talking about consent. We haven't even got to that conversation of drinking tea. So if we're talking about drinking tea, what is the age appropriate time for that discussion to come up and then for consent to come up? Because it also can be tricky if a child is growing up in a household where only abstinence is preached or nothing is spoken about at all.
Mm-hmm. So consent isn't just about engaging in sexual intercourse, and it starts as early as a child being able to name their body parts and identify their body parts. So for toddlers or preschoolers, it's simply about saying your body belongs to you. There's another viral clip of a nursery rhyme that's done in schools with young kids that says, "These are my private parts," and no one's allowed to touch it. Nobody's allowed to see it. Nobody's allowed to feel it. So they are there's different levels, and at each age group, there's a different layer that needs to be added. The crux of it is we understand that it's building these life skills, that it's not just about my own comfort and my own safety. I'm also needing to be considerate about the comfort and the safety of those around me. So for primary school children, something that might be age appropriate is encouraging them to ask before joining a game. Can I sit next to you? Can I play with you? And then like when we're talking about your tweens and your teens, so this is from about 19 onwards, we focus on mutual respect, open communication, and again, the idea of an enthusiastic yes. So you can see how at each age group, we can add another layer of life skills. At teen level, we're looking at consent isn't really about that reluctancy. We spoke a little bit about the manipulation from earlier, and this is where it can get risky, because if we're teaching children to just do what adults tell them to do, and there's that compliance element, we do risk, and we have to consider we live in South Africa and we know what our gender-based violence statistics look like. We know what our crimes against children look like. Not every adult is the same adult. So when you're instilling compliance and you're saying you do what I tell you to do because I'm the adult, you're not teaching young children that their voices matter, that their feelings count, that they should question things to understand. So you get compliance on fear, or you get compliance on understanding. So when a child grows up understanding that no and yes are both valid choices, they become adults who respect boundaries. And that's not just for romantic relationships, but it's basic life skills that's needed for friendships, for workplaces, and with virtual reality and online life growing so exponentially, boundaries for online usage as well. What's also important is, and I suppose that's the real key, it's not a once-off conversation. It is about, I suppose, repetition and modeling. Firstly, children don't do what we tell them to do. They do what they see us do. So it is important that we don't approach it as one big talk. We approach it in small, consistent lessons every day. For parents that are struggling to understand how to even approach any of these conversations, there are these resources online. You can watch a video from Mel Moon with your child, and then you can use that as a starting point to open up conversation, almost like an icebreaker.
You know what I really like about what you've shared, the part about consent, obviously isn't just about intercourse. It also, I mean, I'm trying my best to also make it to not be only about anything sexual. I mean, I have a toddler who he also at some point needs to learn that you can't do something if somebody doesn't want to do it. Like, they're at the age where they're like, this person doesn't want to share their toy with me. or they don't want to play with me. Is there another way that maybe as parents you can start looking at the concept of, how you make others feel around you, and being okay with a person saying no to sharing their toy or sitting to play with you and your group of friends?
It's actually brilliant that you brought that up. And I mean, it's even more difficult when you're talking about a younger kid. But if we think back to our own childhoods, the one that's quite obvious that stands out is how we taught to greet using our bodies. And that's a perfect point to start off. That's a perfect point to look at. How do we teach our children to respect their bodies as well as their belongings, to respect it and to share it if they feel respectable in that space? And it's really important that these lessons are taught equally for girls and boys. That it's not just about giving and receiving, but that's about respect. It's about respecting the human being, not the gender. So, I mean, another one we could think of is tickling. A lot of kids and a lot of parents enjoy tickling. But if a parent oversteps and the child says, no, stop that, that is a very powerful learning moment. And there is the opportunity for the parent to model. I'm sorry, I'll stop, but thanks for letting me know. And if we can create that dynamic of understanding what a safe adult looks like, if our children do experience an unsafe adult, whether it's within the home or outside the home, they have that understanding that this doesn't feel right and I have to go back to myself, my safe adult, to report that. So it is very important that even at toddler level that we look at, I mean, even when we're talking about toys, it's not just you have to kiss that auntie or you have to kiss that uncle to greet, but would you like a hug? Right? How would you like to greet? Would you like a hug? Would you like a fist bump? But the same applies to your toys. Can I borrow your toy? And yes, sharing is caring, but a no is a no. It's someone's personal property. And what's also good for parents to practice, if you are going into spaces where toys are being taken in, and maybe even for school, help your child understand that if there's certain things you do not want to share, then you need to respect that in a certain way. But in addition to that, what would you like to share? I mean, if cousins are coming over, what are you happy sharing? And you can maybe set that out separately.
And I think what you were saying, Jagini, because as you were speaking, because I thought to myself, can you imagine a child not understanding that they have autonomy to their own body because we force them to greet people a certain way? Then they also have not been taught about the concept of, if a person doesn't want to, the answer is no. If now you're having a conversation with that 16-year-old boy or girl who now is determined to get their own way, it's going to be problematic trying to teach that early on. And I mean, obviously it's very tricky with toddlers. My 4-year-old will climb on me, and if I'm like, not now, baby, and then he will insist, and I'll be like, we also need to learn, Nana, when mommy says no, and it's a while, or when he cries because somebody didn't let him do something, and he has to learn that, but they're allowed to say no if they don't want to play with you or even hug you. But I want us to take a listen to a voice note on 072 702 1702.
Dumela Relebogile and your guest in studio, Kingsley from Germiston. Wa tseba le rona re le batho ba batsho, re na le ntho ya hore utlwe malome kapo nkgono kapo ragadi a fostela hore ngwana a musune molomong. And you can clearly see that the child is uncomfortable. And then you'll hear a parent say, man, sunang nkgono molomong man keng. That, I think, for me, speaks directly to this conversation of consent, that we need to be more mindful and more respectful of when our children do not consent to certain things. Thanks for the great topic.
Thank you so much. And it's exactly as you were saying, Jigini, your final thoughts in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think that we don't question why that causes discomfort as parents. We also just accept it because that's what we were taught, right? So I think we have to remember intuition is developed from birth. It's part of being a human being. And if things make us uncomfortable, we need to really, as parents, stop and ask, why does these situations make my child feel uncomfortable? But when we teach consent from early, we're not just preventing harm, we are raising a generation that values respect as well as empathy and emotional intelligence. So it's not scary conversation, but it's about the everyday kindness and giving children the language to honor both their boundaries as well as be considerate of the boundaries of others.
Jagini, thank you so much for speaking to us about this. And I encourage all the parents, caregivers, adults that are listening to have more open conversations in your homes, even if it's with a toddler and even if it's just about their toys. It starts early on. It's 2:30. Time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. A very good afternoon. Cape Town police have launched a manhunt for gunmen linked to a deadly shooting on the R300 highway. 3 men came under attack when driving along the route earlier today. A 32-year-old man was killed on the scene while 2 others were injured and rushed to hospital. Unconfirmed reports suggest the victims are a taxi boss as well as his bodyguards. A witness from the Organised Crime Unit has testified before the Madlanga Commission on how the team investigating the murder of Vereniging engineer Ahmad Swart was briefed about the pushback they would receive from police. Witness A presented the evidence today while testifying partially in camera due to risks posed to his safety. Witness A is testifying from a safe house at an undisclosed location with his voice being broadcast but his face is not being seen. And Basic Education Minister Sivuyo Gwarube says her department is ready for the 2025 final grade 12 exams. This year, more than 900,000 candidates will sit for the National Senior Certificates exams, which start tomorrow. Gwarube says for the first time since 1996, the department has recorded the highest registration rate for full-time candidates. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 3 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage in the Kempton Park area, there's slow-moving traffic. This is on Pretoria Road between CR Swart and Plain Road. Also slow-moving traffic due to roadworks. That's in the Calvin Alex area. N3 in both directions between London Road and the Butlu interchange. Also, traffic a bit sluggish heading into the Joburg CBD. That's M1 southbound between Empire Road and the Crown interchange. There's also bumper-to-bumper traffic heading towards the intersection of Morafontein Road and Van Riebeck due to faulty traffic lights in the Edenvale area. Also, traffic lights not working still in Rand Park Ridge at Bayers, Nodia and the N1. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. 702. Serving the 702 family in 702 land, including those of you in Germiston. Germiston was established in the early days of the gold rush after 2 prospectors, John Jack and August Simmer, discovered gold. They named the new town, next to the Jack and Simmer mine, after Jack's father's farm in Scotland, which was called Germiston. Notable people from Germiston include the golfer Ernie Els, politician Helen Suzman, and Nobel Medicine Prize winner Dr. Sidney Brenner. 702. Let's walk the talk across 702 land, including Germiston.
Are you ready to be inspired and grow your business? The South African Future Trust Summits, in partnership with Standard Bank and 702, returns to the Sandton Convention Centre on 5 and 6 November. Gain insights from international and local speakers, connect with entrepreneurs and investors, and come and pitch your business idea or come and buy a business in a box. Tickets are limited and selling fast. Grab yours now at summit.southafricanfuturetrust.org.
Breathe in, insurance. Breathe out, pineapple. In, insurance. Breathe out, pineapple. Again. In, insurance. Out, pineapple. Again and again.
Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
Unlock exciting bonus prizes when you top up your Betway account with a Betway Bucks voucher. From millions in cash and bonuses to extra bets and so much more, every top up is a chance to score big. Head over to leading retailers, including Pick and Pay, Checkers, Pep Stores, and Incredible Connection, and top up with Betway today. Terms and conditions apply. Betway is licensed and regulated by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No persons under the age of 18 are permitted to gamble. South African Responsible Gambling Program toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Winners know when to stop.
Looking for real ways to live greener? Then don't miss Green Tip of the Week, your weekly dose of sustainable inspiration. From eco-entrepreneurs to climate champions, we sit down with the people making real change. Catch Green Tip of the Week every Tuesday on Afternoon Drive with John Perlman from 3 to 6 p.m. Only on 702, proudly brought to you by Volvo. It's safe to be brave with Volvo.
Coming up
on 702 Drive with John Perlman.
702 Drive is coming up from 3 to 6 p.m. with John Perlman. John, happy Monday. How are you doing?
Doing well, thanks. And you, happy Monday to you too.
I am doing well, John. What are your thoughts on matric dances? Do you think that they should be standardized where everybody just wears school uniforms? Have your 3-course dinner, have it at the school premises, no fancy cars, no dates, so that it is fair and that parents aren't strained with all the amounts of money they need to pour into them.
So, I mean, I listened to a lot of your conversation. I thought it was a brilliant topic and some really important stuff coming up, because invariably it's about more than just the specific issue. It's about the way we are as a society evolving and all of that. So with that, I do think something's got to be done about it. But I wasn't feeling everyone comes in school uniform, have dinner. And in particular, I didn't like the no partner thing because I think that is part of your life, and for better or worse, not everybody marries the person they went to the matric dance with. But I think that is a kind of a stepping out into an adult world, and you're with your partner. And I think those kind of public expressions of those emotions are very important and very good. So I would go with a kind of hybrid of what you're suggesting. Yes to partners. I don't know if you have to have a sit-down dinner, and I'm not sure you should wear school uniform, but I think you could dress out of school uniform without getting ball gowns and tailored suits. But yeah, what do? Do you put a spending cap on? How do you do it? I really don't know.
I also don't know, because on the one hand, you do want young people to have these awesome, fun experiences.
Absolutely, and look great.
Yes, and go and be comfortable and have fun.
Yes.
The question that I asked was, what was the purpose of these events to begin with?
Yeah.
And are we still fulfilling whatever that purpose was?
Yeah.
Because maybe we've lost what it was all about. Doesn't mean school uniforms are going to solve it, but I would be curious to find out. Do you remember, I must ask the listeners one of these days, hey Pashida, where is your matric dance partner now? Do you remember who you went to matric dance with?
Yeah.
Are they still in your life?
Huh?
Are they still in your
No.
life? So in you went to your own and somebody else's?
Yeah, somebody invited me to theirs.
Ooh, okay.
Subsequently.
We'll find out the details.
When I was out of school.
Oh, we'll find out the details the next time we talk about this.
I'm not sure how you'll find them out, but hey, have a break a leg trying, as they say.
What's coming up on your show today?
Won't get them from me, that's for sure. So coming up on the show, Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, evidence given in camera, but not to the point where you can't follow what's going on. Oren Singh, our EWN colleague, doing a great job of following exactly what's going on. He's with us after 4. There's a new HIV vaccine, lenacapavir, LEN for short. By the end of the month, we'll know if it's approved for use in South Africa. But Mia Milan at Begisisa has written a very, very interesting piece, which basically says we can't get enough for South Africa because of the cost at the moment. But what we can do is be very, very intentional and careful about which communities we actually give it, because the goal is obviously to prevent individuals from becoming infected with HIV, but the larger epidemiological goal, i.e. public health goal, is to start shrinking the incidence of HIV/AIDS. And so she's got some very interesting thoughts. I'm looking forward to that very much indeed. Issues around our airports and routes, criticism of the air traffic navigation services coming out earlier this month, last week, and the implications are huge. If planes can't fly around, it's not good for tourism. Who'd have thought? But we'll talk to the air traffic navigation services in the course of the show. We'll do all sorts of other stuff as well, but you'll have to listen in and see.
Tune in, 702 Drive with John Perlman from 3 to 6 p.m.
To celebrate 25 years of helping you live the Premier life, FNB Premier is giving you a chance to win a 14-day European tour experience and other cool monthly prizes. Open any FNB Premier account from September to 31 December 2025. Switch your salary, swipe or tap a minimum of 2,000 Rand per month for 3 months straight. Spend and win with FNB Premier. FNB, help changes everything. TCs and competition rules apply. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
Running a business is tough. You need tools that just work. That's why more South African businesses are switching to Mac. At iStore, we make it easy with 4,000 Rands in added value when you switch. That's 3 years extended warranty and remote tech support, leaving you to focus on everything else. Switch to Mac with iStore, your expert partner. T's and C's apply. Mac at iStore. Run smooth as business should.
Feel the rhythm of summer at the Old Mutual Music in the Gardens, featuring Mikasa and Jazeel Brothers, live on Saturday, 25 October at the Walter Sisulu Botanical Garden. Experience soulful sounds, sunshine, and good vibes in one of Joburg's most beautiful settings. Get your tickets now at webtickets.co.za. Proudly presented by Old Mutual, 702 and Breakout Events.
The future of mobility is here, and it's powered by clean energy. Join 702 Drive with John Perlman today from 3 p.m. for a conversation with Mr. Andile Africa, CEO of the Automotive Industry Development Center, as he unpacks how Gauteng is leading Africa's green automotive revolution. With the NEV Summit 2025 kicking off this Wednesday and Thursday, find out how innovation in new energy vehicles is creating jobs, building industries, and driving a more sustainable future. The NEV Summit 2025, driving Gauteng toward a green automotive economy. On 702, let's walk the talk.
702.
The Naked Scientist.
18 minutes to 3 o'clock, time for the Naked Scientist. Get your science-related questions in 011 883 0702 in the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Dr. Chris Smith, happy Monday. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm in good shape. How about yourself?
I am doing well. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask you a very difficult question, Doctor. Are you ready?
Oh, what's new? Questions. Sure.
Oh, we were chatting in our parenting and parents feature around consent. Has there been any research done around the human brain and the abilities to understand things like consent or anything along those lines?
Well, if you think about it, this is really what separates us from lower animals, isn't it? It's the ability to put ourselves in another person's shoes. When you're asking for consent to do something, the reason you might put yourself in a position where you'd think, well, I ought to ask that, is because you can turn the tables and you can think, well, if I was that person and this was done to me, how would I feel about it? Would I want to be asked? It's that ability to do role reversal, to literally transport yourself and put yourself in another person's shoes, see the world through their eyes, through their perspective. That is part of the higher function that comes with the human brain. And a lot of that is done at the very front of the brain, which is very heavily developed and large and enlarged in humans. So in many respects, yes, that whole kind of socializing ability to mirror people's behavior, be empathic, understand people's feelings, put yourself in their shoes is very much a human trait, very heavily researched. And I'd say really consent is one aspect of that higher cognitive function that sets us apart from animals that would just presume life is there for the taking and they do whatever they want. And they don't worry about what other people may think. Animals don't seem to be able to do that to the same extent that we can.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Doctor. The lines are open. Audible 1-883-0702, the WhatsApp line 072-702-1702. We have a voice note.
Hello, Dr. Chris and Relay. It's Colin Kempton Park. I've got one question. The size of Africa, the way it looks on the map, is it true that it's underestimated? But the true Africa can be as larger than what we see on the map, that it can accommodate most of the countries or even continents in it. Why is it made small? Thank you.
Okay. This is a good question. And this is actually because of the constraints of trying to turn a ball, a sphere, which the planet is, it's a ball, into something that can be represented on a two-dimensional flat sheet like a map. Because most of the representations of the continents are on a map, on a flat wall. So when you do this, you have to make allowances for the fact that you're turning a curved surface into a flat surface. Now, if you imagine you stood at the top of Africa, at the top of the Sahara Desert, for example, and you stretched a piece of string all the way down to Cape Town or the Cape of Good Hope, that would have to go over a very long journey because the surface would be curved. But when we put it onto a flat sheet, we squish it down and make it effectively a lot smaller. So for the purposes of being able to present the map on a flat sheet, you do have to adjust, bend and contort the real dimensions of the structures that are on the Earth's surface. And this is called making a projection. And it means that when we just look at a map and see the distance between the top of Africa and the bottom of Africa, it doesn't look that far. But if you were to actually then work out what it is when you make the curve over the surface of the Earth's surface, it's a huge distance. So yes, Africa does look on a map smaller than it really is in reality because it's a huge continent.
All right, so it would have been a scaling issue, but we all know now that that's the standard that's been used for years and years. Doctor, is there any possibility of this world map being updated and adopted anytime soon?
Well, I don't know. It's a good question. I'd never really thought about it. I only sort of thought about it from the perspective of how we actually represent everything to everyone fits into the map. But it's a good point. I don't know if anyone's working on adjusted maps that would represent data in a slightly different way. People are looking at ways of how you can present information visually in different ways all the time in order to convey various things like how much income a country has. So you could redraw the map by how rich different countries were, and you could redraw the map by how many different languages were spoken, or how much computing power a country. You could do lots of different things to represent this. So people are looking at different ways to map things out. But geographically, it makes sense to do what we have for the time being because everyone's familiar with it, and that way it means that it's easier for people to be able to relate to things because they're relating to the familiar rather than get confused because they're thinking, I haven't seen that before. But this is really, it goes back hundreds of years because people had the problem of how do you get lines of longitude and latitude which are mapping onto the surface of a ball onto a flat sheet of paper, and you have to bend and twist things in order to make it fit.
All right, there's another voice note on 072-702-1702.
Good day, 702. Can you ask Chris a question for me, please? I have a damaged optic nerve and I would like to know if there's anything that can be done for it at all. The ophthalmologist gave me something called Cebrolux NF. I don't know if that's just a waste of time, a gimmick, or would it help? Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right, well, what's being asked here concerns the central nervous system. Because although our eyes are not in the brain, they are an extension of the brain. And when we develop as an embryo, the skin overlying where the eyes are forms the lens, and it meets up with a so-called optic cup, which is a projection from the brain underneath that then forms the eyeball. So the retina, which is the light-sensitive sheet that really does the business inside the eye and converts light waves into brain waves, this is connected to the brain through a stalk, which is the optic nerve. And there's about 1 million nerve fibres running down the optic nerve to go into the middle of the brain for relaying the visual information onto the back of your head, which is where you see things. Because the optic nerve is part of the brain, when we damage the central nervous system, meaning the brain and spinal cord and the optic nerve, unlike the peripheral nervous system, such as the nerves that are running down my arm to supply my fingers, if I injure a part of the brain, unlike the peripheral nervous system, it doesn't spontaneously regenerate. So damage to the brain from a stroke, from trauma, from inherited disease, for example, doesn't spontaneously fix itself in us. In some animals, it does. And in fish, for example, and in animals like amphibians, if you have newts and frogs, you can do changes or damage to the central nervous system, and it will repair itself. It will regrow. So this gives scientists the insight that it might be possible to repair a damaged central nervous system, but at the moment, in humans, if you've lost nerve cells, you can't get them back in your brain. So therefore, we're looking for ways that we can help to repair and replace lost functions, either by training and physiotherapy, rerouting functions to use other bits of the brain and develop those better, or developing implants. There's a very interesting paper out this week in the New England Journal of Medicine where they are demonstrating the utility of implanting into the eye small light-sensitive chips that talk to a camera mounted on a pair of glasses, which beams into that chip the visual information, and the chip then sends signals of what's being seen by the camera down the optic nerve into the brain, enabling people to regain the ability to read even. It's that good. Now, it's very early days, and this doesn't replace a damaged optic nerve, but what it does do is demonstrate that this is very much front and center in people's efforts to try to improve the lot of people who have damage to the central nervous system. And it's not just the eyes that people are working on, it's any aspect of the central nervous system. But at the moment, we're not there yet. I'm sorry.
Thank you so much for that question. This is an interesting one from Keith and Malvin, who says, Doctor, why the cold air in the plane? You even get a blankie besides everybody letting their wings free. But I think what they're trying to say is there a scientific reason that planes have to be cold, especially when you're flying?
Right, okay, Graham. The answer to this is that when you've got hundreds of people all cooped up on a plane together, it's not just flatulence that's a problem, it's the fact that we're all breathing out loads of carbon dioxide, we're consuming oxygen, and we're also breathing out loads of water. The average person in an average day breathes out half a litre of water, just breathes out half a litre of water. So when you've got hundreds of people cooped up in a very small volume, you have to change the air aggressively in order to remove that CO2, which is going to build up otherwise, which is very toxic. If we build up CO2 in the environment, we feel pretty unwell pretty quickly, because CO2 is an acid and it will make our blood become too acid, and it's very unpleasant if you have too high CO2 levels. Also, we need oxygen, of course. So if we're breathing oxygen and extracting oxygen from the air we're breathing, if we don't put it back, we're all going to asphyxiate. So they have to change the air aggressively, as well as removing the water. They therefore use air conditioning systems and filtration systems. The filtration systems screen out with HEPA filters viral particles, and that includes COVID and flu and that kind of thing, to try to reduce the likelihood that people will catch infections when they're flying. But when you're using air conditioning systems to keep the air clean, usually the way these work is by working a bit like a fridge. And so it does end up cooling the air down quite a bit in order to pull the water out of it. And this means that you, unless you heat it back up again, do end up with air being returned to the plane, which is colder. But it's all down to where they set the thermostat. So I think they'd rather that people feel cool and put extra layers on than feel too hot and take too many layers off, because then you have naked scientists on air, wouldn't you? Literally, as well as metaphorically. But no, I mean, more seriously, I think it's all about the fact you can always add layers, including a blanket, and that's better than being too hot, which might make people feel faint and woozy and not well.
Thank you so much for that question. One says, can a virus be killed? If yes, why do we get flu each year?
Well, viruses absolutely can be killed, but some people argue that viruses aren't actually alive because, unlike bacteria, which are a form of life which is growing and replicating, and one bacterium can split in two and make 2 bacteria, and those 2 can split in 2 and make 4 bacteria, a virus, which is 10 to 100 times smaller than a bacterial cell, can only make a new virus if it gets inside another cell. It's got to infect either a human cell, an animal cell, a plant cell, or a bacterial cell. There are even viruses that prey on bacteria. They are nothing more, therefore, than an infectious bag of genes. And they are programmed to gain entry to a cell and then use their genetic material to hijack that cell and turn it into a factory for viruses. And the virus reprograms the cell's machinery, making it produce, in some cases, hundreds, sometimes thousands, sometimes millions of new virus particles, which splurge out from the cell, and they then infect other nearby cells and also other nearby people. Now, the reason that we get the flu every year is, yeah, sure, we can destroy viruses. You can use ultraviolet light, you can use oxidizing agents like hydrogen peroxide and chlorine, which will just wipe them out and destroy their genetic material. Therefore, we can kill them. But the reason we keep getting viruses year after year is that they're a moving target. Although I catch flu one year, I mount an immune response and I get better because my immune system catches up with the virus, kills it, deactivates it, and I'm then free of flu. Because flu evolves and changes and mutates, because when it copies itself inside one of our cells and makes new viruses, it makes genetic spelling mistakes. So it introduces errors into its genetic code. Those are called mutations. When this happens, it changes the appearance of the virus. So when flu circulates around the world, it's continuously evolving and changing. So when it arrives in the geography in wintertime, it usually comes to each part of the world in their winter, it will look different each year. And therefore your immune system, which is going around looking for, let's pretend the virus has got green hair, sunglasses and red skin, well, now it looks like it's got red hair, green skin and no sunglasses. So the immune system is looking for totally the wrong thing, misses it, and you catch it again because the virus has mutated. So yes, we can wipe out viruses. We do that to do good infection control all the time, but the viruses are continuously changing, evolving and jumping on from one person to the next all around the world because the immune system is looking the wrong way.
Thank you for that lovely question, Dr. Chris Smith. We're back together next week.
See you next time.
Introducing the new Grande Cheeseburger from Nando's. Freshly toasted signature bun, juicy flame-grilled chicken breast fillet basted in your choice of peri-peri. Nando's mayo, crisp lettuce, tomato, red onion, the red one, not the normal one, gherkins, creamy cheddar cheese, and finished with that legendary peri-naise. A burger so big it literally took us almost 30 seconds to describe it, which is why you'll need both hands for it.
At the heart of global conversations shaping the future, Africa's voice matters more than ever. As Africa's largest bank by assets and lead sponsor of the B20 Summit, Standard Bank Group is proud to spotlight the continent's growth, partnerships, and potential on the world stage. Through informed dialogue and powerful partnerships, Standard Bank is driving sustainable growth where it matters most. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Trust is earned when it's put to the test. The certainty your data is safe. The knowledge that when threats evolve, you're ahead of them. Vodacom's cybersecurity protects what matters. From national networks to enterprise IP, your data stays secure and your people stay connected. Search Vodacom Business Security. Together, let's build the extraordinary. Vodacom Business. Further together.
He's the boss, the legend, the man whose music defined generations. Now, his story hits cinemas in Springsteen, Deliver Me From Norway, from 24 October. And 702 is giving you the chance to win big this week. We're celebrating the icon with 2 truths and a lie. 3 facts about Bruce. One's not quite true. WhatsApp the keyword Springsteen ZA to 0702 702 1702. And we could call you to play every day this week. Spot the line and win 2,000 Rand cash and a shot at a collector's vinyl package every fan will envy. T's and more on primemediaplus.com. Only on 702.
Relebogile is on X at Relebogile M.
Thank you so much for joining us on 702 Afternoons. If you want to share things that didn't make it to air or suggestions for features like Belief Matters or even the upside of failure, 702 Afternoons at 702.co.za. That's the email for the show. That's where we can receive your messages when we're not on air. Thanks for joining us. It's 3 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Police probe another deadly shooting in Cape Town, and the search for a missing man at the Westdene Dam wraps up for the day.